Hey, what's going on? This is Crystal Taylor, the owner of Fitness is Not a Game. I am your health and wellness consultant who specializes in helping women over 40 lose weight without dieting or exercise for more than 30 minutes at a time. And today we're talking about chronic stress, y'all. Look, if you here with me now, you heard chronic stress, like, ooh, child, help me. Let me know. Say, hey, girl. Hey, if you catch this on replay, type replay in the chat. And of course, let's drink some water. So let's talk about stress. As it says in the title, stress is killing you. And not just regular stress. I'm talking about that chronic stress. So, what are some examples of chronic stress? What is chronic stress? When I say chronic stress, I'm not talking about the little things that come up. You're like, ooh, this has been a stressful day. Ooh, this happened. I can't believe this happened. Ooh, it caused stress. I'm talking about those things when your body is like in this prolonged state of fight or flight, right? Stuff that's just happening, things you can't seem to bob and weave from, right? So for a lot of people, it can be work, it can be money, it can be relationships, it can be being a caregiver, it can be your own personal health issues, right? It can be other societal issues, right? These other pressures. So things that are around you, things where you feel like you just cannot get away from. Seems like you're constantly drowning. When you figure out one thing, something else breaks, right? Let me know if you've ever felt that or if you're feeling that now, right? Because a lot of people they feel like, and especially like right now, I, I'm not going to keep talking about this thing, but there's a lot of unease after the elections last week, right? What's going to happen now? And with that, that can be all the things that I just talked about. What's happening with your job? What's happening with your money? What's happening with the market? What's happening with all the things, right? But when we have that, when we're in that prolonged state of stress, it is tearing our bodies up. When they say that stress kills, that is not just a statement, y'all. It is real. And if you've ever dealt with prolonged stress and felt it all over your body, let me know, because I'll tell you this. I'm very honest, transparent, and all that good stuff about the health issues that I've had. And it was so interesting that, I don't know if it was interesting, but I'll say this. When I talk a lot about my health issues, I never really, even though the punchline of the issues that I had, and for anyone who does not know, if this is your first time catching me, type of one in the chat. If you've been around for a while, type OG in the chat. But I tell the story frequently on how from 2016 to 2019, I was going through so much physically. My body just felt like it was breaking down on me, so much so that they thought I had MS. I had to get a number of MRIs, getting all these tests done, and everything kept coming back okay. I passed all the tests. And I'm like, and I mean, to the point where I couldn't even go. At the time, I was still working in corporate America. I was working downtown Chicago. I couldn't even go to work. I didn't have enough energy. My legs were so weak. I could barely go up and down the stairs in my own home. I could barely drive. I could barely walk around the store. Like, that's how badly my body felt like it was breaking down on me. And so they're running all of these tests, and everything kept coming back okay. You passed. That's okay. The only thing that was a little off was my vitamin D, but not enough to cause that much fatigue and all the other stuff that was happening. Like, literally, I mean, my legs would shake when I would try to go downstairs. Upstairs wasn't that bad, but going down the stairs, it was horrible. Right. And I mean, zero energy to drive, all the things. And so after all of these tests were run, finally, because I'm at a neurologist, all these things, they finally said, what's going on in your life? Like, what's happening? The interesting thing, there was a lot going on, but one of the major things that was happening during that time was that my 16-year-old son had just gone off to his freshman year of college at Notre Dame. And I didn't realize how stressed I was with my baby not being here, with my baby being away in college, my baby only being 16, just all the things, right? Just the adjustment, all of that stuff. And it was so interesting how once we realized that my body was just, fighting itself over stress, it was easier for me to manage it. But let's talk about how that stress was manifesting itself too. The first thing that happened, I was actually in the process of prepping for my second figure competition. I did a figure competition in 2014, 2016. I said, I'm going to do another one. And on September 26th, I'll never forget this day, September 26th, 2016, I was walking to the grocery store to go buy some lunch during at work. And I noticed that my right leg, like my right hip, started hurting, and then my leg and my foot went numb. And I was like, dang it. Called my husband. I knew what it was. I was like, dang, I think I got sciatica. I need to leave work and go straight to the doctor, which I did, which the doctor said, yeah, that's what it is. Take a break from this prep. You can't do anything. I couldn't do yoga. I couldn't do nothing. I was like, what? I can't do nothing. But okay, cool. I'm a Capricorn. What's up to my Capricorns? Team Cap. So that means I can be pretty stubborn, right? I own it. But if nothing else, I'm a good patient, right? I know that if a doctor tells me not to do, I'm not going to do, right? So I didn't. And so a couple of days later, now my left hand and my left arm, they're tingling. Now remember, it started in my right leg. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And that was when my husband said, oh, shoot, that's scary. Because I was just talking to a guy at the gym, and it turns out it was MS for him. So I'm really scared now. So now I go back to the doctor, tell him what's going on. Yeah, we're concerned. Go get MRIs, all this stuff. So that was how the stress was manifesting itself in my body. Yes, ma'am, Miss Vicky, it is killing us, right? So my body, I had to learn pretty quickly that my body responds to stress very, very real. I know when I'm stressed. And it's funny because that was 2016. And to this day, if I feel super stressed, I feel it in my arm. That's why I know something's bothering me. If I start feeling my arm tingling, my hand tingling, I'm like, okay, something's going on in here that I'm trying to ignore. There's some type of stressor around me that I haven't acknowledged. So today we're going to talk about what some of the stressors are, the things that we can do to address them, right? But that's how it was manifesting itself in me. What else could happen? It could start damaging our heart, right? Raising our blood pressure, increasing our chances of heart disease. Because our body, as they always say, the body keeps score. You can try to act like things aren't stressing you all you want. Your body is going to let you know. Let me know if you know that to be true. I'm okay. It's okay. I'm okay. It's okay. How many of y'all tell yourselves that lie frequently? Maybe daily. Well, sometimes you just got to address it head on. Well, we're going to get to that. What else can happen? You can start noticing you have digestive issues. You know that feeling when you get really nervous, your stomach starts turning, it gets sour, and you're like, ew. But what can also happen, it can lead to irritable bowel syndrome. It can lead to ulcers, right? All of those things mess with your digestive system and your gut health overall. And if you don't know this by now, we've talked about this before. If you haven't seen it, go back and check the videos. But we've talked about the importance of protecting your gut health because all of your health is connected to your belly. Trust and believe. So we're going to talk about that too, because we got to be mindful of what we're eating. Now, what else can happen, and it's really important to talk about this now, especially with the seasons changing, when you're stressed, it can throw your immune system off. So that means it makes you more susceptible to getting sick, and it makes it more difficult for you to bounce back when you're sick. So what may have been a common cold that would typically take you a couple days to get over, now your body is so weak and so beat down that instead of days, it's taking weeks. And you're like, what the heck is going on? Or you cut yourself And you realize that things aren't healing properly because your body is not strong enough, right? That chronic stress can also lead to chronic inflammation. Now, what's that? That means that all this inflammation is going on in our bodies. Now we're making ourselves more susceptible to diabetes, arthritis, even cancer, all because we're stressed. So we think that stress is nothing. We got to get out of that thought that acknowledging stress makes us weak. Let me know if you've ever felt that. That if you said, "Oh, I'm not doing okay," then that makes you weak. It doesn't. Acknowledging it, addressing it, and working to correct it does not make you weak. It actually makes you strong because it requires that you make yourself vulnerable enough to admit it. A lot of people struggle with vulnerability. A lot of people struggle with saying, wow, I am sad because X, Y, and Z is happening. I'm scared because X, Y, and Z. Because stress is sort of connected to anger. And people are comfortable with anger. But anger is also tied to stress. When you're angry, you're stressing yourself out. But anger is something that's outward. You can say that all of these other things are making you angry because this happened and they did this and that, as opposed to, instead of pointing those fingers, you get those thumbs and saying, this is how I feel. Anger is that secondary emotion. It's something before that. You're sad, you're scared, whatever the case may be, but we have to address it. Because if we don't, what also can happen outside of all the physical stuff, it beats you up mentally. Now, I'm going to say this. Drink up. And if you should have your water, type cheers in the chat. We all have some form of PTSD. We do. We all have stresses that we're dealing with. We do. I would venture to say that we all have some type of mental health issues. There's spectrums for all the things, right? But when you are allowing, and I am saying allowing, I am allowing yourself to sit in chronic stress situations, it can make those worse. It's really easy for people to have a mental break. We handle all of these big things, and then something very small. Like they say, the straw that broke the camel's back, they never said the brick, the boulder that broke the camel's back. They said the straw, the smallest, tiniest, lightest thing could break you. Now, what else can happen? And you probably noticed this too. When you're stressed, you can't focus. You're forgetting stuff. You don't know what you were doing. Look, and if you are a certain age, you're already struggling with that anyway. Like, what was I doing? What am I coming here for? I don't know. But think about how many times you were trying to do something, even just regular, normal things that you would feel like you could do on autopilot. But you were contemplating or in deep thought about whatever this stressful situation is. You're trying to figure it out, you're rehashing, whatever. And then you look up and you're like, what? Why did I just put the skillet in the refrigerator? Have you ever done that before? Right? You look up and the ice cream is in the pantry. What? Because you can't focus. Your brain will shut down on you. And after so long, your body's going to shut down too. The body can only take so much. And I've said this before, and I will continue to say this. If you do not give your body the rest that it needs, it will take it. Let me know if you know that. It will shut down on you. It will only allow you to sit on that couch and barely flip through TV or scroll through your phone because your body's tired. And it's tired because it's been fighting all of these thoughts. Everything, like I said, the gut is controlling like how healthy your body is, right? But all of that stuff, remember, this is still controlling the gut. If this, which is also connected to this, if your head and your heart aren't peaceful, if they aren't calm, they're disturbing your gut. So all of these things end up messing with your body physically and mentally. Now, what do we typically do? You let me know when you feel stressed out, what do you do? First of all, do you even acknowledge? Do you take the time to acknowledge it? Or do you say, nope, I'm good. I'm good. Ain't nothing gonna take me down. Ain't nothing gonna break me down. And if you know somebody who might need this story, this conversation, make sure you tag them and share it out, right? Because stress is getting a lot of us, especially as we're entering into the holiday season. Mourning alone is chronic stress. This is around the time when we really start missing those people, right? Trying to figure things out, how to celebrate without them, right? So what do we typically do? A lot of people, instead of addressing it, they run to all of these coping mechanisms that are not healthy. Now, I'm going to pull my mic close so you can hear me. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, type yes in the chat, because I might be talking directly to you. Okay. Stress, as I keep saying, will kill you. However, it has been proven that exercise is the best but most overlooked and underused stress reliever that there is. It's a fact. And we're going to talk more about that later. But that's not what you're doing. What y'all doing when y'all get stressed out? In addition to trying to ignore the stress. You start eating more. You possibly drink more. Might be using little pharmaceuticals. Some of y'all might even just throw yourself into work, right? Just gonna stay busy. Let me know how many of y'all that's you. I'm just gonna stay busy. If I stay busy, I don't even have time to think about it. I'm just gonna get this done. I'm gonna be productive. I'm gonna finally fold those clothes. You know, I'm finally clean those gutters. You know what? I'm gonna finally rearrange my room. I'm gonna do all this stuff, all this busy work, as opposed to addressing what's happening. Let me know if that's you. Let me know who. I see somebody admitted to it. Thank you. I won't say your name, but thank you for that. We do that so frequently. But then what also happens is because we are chronically stressed and we're not addressing what's happening with us, we're irritable, we're jumpy, we're agitated, we're quick to anger. And remember, anger is a what? Secondary emotion. Somebody type a 2 in the chat because it's not your first emotion. You're feeling something else before that. And because you're all of these things, irritable, agitated, jumpy, quick to anger, you don't have patience. Most of us already don't have a lot of patience as it is. But then now you're carrying along all of this stress. And again, we're not talking about random stressful moments. We're talking about chronic stress. We're talking about work, relationships, money, health issues, taking care of family, all of those things. Now it's messing with the relationships that you do have that were good. Whether those are your professional relationships or your personal relationships, right? And when I say relationships, I'm not just talking about your boo. I'm talking about your friends, your siblings, your children, your parents, your co-workers, all of the relationships you have, because now you don't have the energy for anybody because you're so stressed out. Let me know if anybody's ever felt that, right? What else is happening? Now you laid in the bed because when you're stressed and your body is uneasy, is doing all of this. How you sleeping? You're not. You're not. You laying in the bed, mad, frustrated, thinking, hypothesizing, philosophizing, and everything else to try to figure this thing out. Yes and yes. But guess what else? You know what else is happening? When you're not sleeping, now you are really grumpy. Now you're really grumpy. You sleep deprived. Your body didn't get a chance to reset like it's supposed to. You didn't give it the time that it needed to put you back in fighting form so that you can handle the things that are going on in your life. So you going into this doggone fight, going into the first round after you've already fought 4 other people, and you fighting against somebody who's fresh on the mat. How are you supposed to win? Somebody tell me. I don't know. Because you can't. You can't. All of it because you don't want to handle the stress. So what could and should you do? First thing I want you to do is to recognize what stresses you. Ignorance is not bliss, y'all. It's not. It's just ignorance. It's not bliss in any way, especially when it comes to your health. I've always said that. It is not blissful. It's just ignorance, right? Excuse me. So when you sit back and say, okay, what's stressing me? And on top of it, is there a pattern to this? Does this keep happening? If it keeps happening, why? How can I make some changes to change this pattern? But and I list this first because awareness is the first step. It's the first step. Everything outside of that is avoidance. You can't fix a problem until you've acknowledged what the problem is. Let me know if you know that. You can't just come in fixing stuff and nobody ever said, this is the issue. Other than that, you sweeping stuff under the rug. That's not vacuuming and getting the dirt out, because guess what? You keep sweeping under the rug, that rug gonna get tall. And that dirt is still there. It's still there. We're trying to put Band-Aids on things that probably need a doggone tourniquet. It don't work. It does not work. You have to assess what the situation is. And I know for some people say, well, Crystal, thinking about it, that stresses me too. I get it. However, it does not go away from you ignoring it. Because we're not talking about random stressful events. We're talking about these chronic stresses. Money. You can't just sit down and the money just gonna voila appear. If that's the case, please give me the secret. If you're struggling with health issues, you definitely can't just sit on your tail and expect it to go away. It won't. That ain't the key. And for y'all to like, the doctors say I got blah, 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 but I ain't gonna claim it. You better claim it before I claim you. Trust and believe that, right? So you have to be aware of what's causing you this stress. That's the first thing. And then figure out what those patterns are and figure out what role you can play in making changes, not necessarily fixing it. But what changes can you make that will help you manage this stress, right? It would be nice to alleviate, but the thing is, let me say this. I mind if I get up on my foot? You know, for anybody who don't know, when I get on my foot, that means I'm about to get into the conversation. And I'm on my foot now. But this is the thing. We have to learn how to manage the little the little everyday stresses that could come our way, right? And it's not even about managing that stress, it's managing our reactions to the stress, right? But when there's chronic stress, our goal is to get rid of that. Our goal is to get rid of the chronic stress because that's what's beating our bodies down. Yeah, that's what's taking us out because we're not trying to eliminate it. We're just putting a little band-aid on it. We're gonna sprinkle some sugar on it and make it seem like it's okay when it's not. All right. So that's the first thing. We got to acknowledge what's going on and then make these plans to figure out how to get rid of the chronic stress. And yes, that even includes your health, right? Now, unfortunately, there are some things that are terminal, unfortunately. But for a lot of these things, a lot of these diagnoses, changes could help, right? What are some changes? Move your body, get off your tail. And when I say that, that does not mean you have to do anything crazy or excessive and all, work out for 27 hours out the day. Nobody said all that. But simply getting up walking, taking time to stretch. When was the last time you stretched? All of those things, just anytime you move your body, it helps to reduce your cortisol levels. Cortisol is that stress hormone. It has us all like this, right? But when you move your body, it gets that blood flowing for real, right? Like say, get the blood flowing. That's what you want to do. Because if you just sit still, it's gonna sit still. It does a little work, but the goal is to get it pumping, to optimize that body. The same way with your car. You got to turn that thing on, get that engine going so it can get all the fluids going through the system so that it works properly. That's why y'all know this. You can't let your car sit too long without doggone starting it every once in a while, driving it around a corner so that it can keep working. Yes or yes. Y'all will do that. But you're not getting to move your body. When you do that, it's going to help to improve your mood. It's just physics. This is physics, science. Don't get me talking about science. My kids ain't here. They'll judge me. But you know what I'm saying? It's science. It really is. What else you can do? Be mindful. Practice things like yoga, meditation, deep breathing. And for my folks who struggle with meditation, because I used to be one of them, and I'm not going to say used to, well, I guess I will put myself in that used to be box. Let me know if you meditate. If you meditate, type yes in the chat. But for a lot of people, they struggle with meditation because they're like, Crystal, I can't focus during my meditation because I'm thinking about all these stresses. How the heck am I supposed to meditate? Let me know if that's you. Let me know if you've tried it and you felt like you failed at it because the entire time your brain is doing all of this. So you can't find that calm, right? Or you're so busy that the entire time, if you set yourself a timer to say, I'm going to meditate for 5 minutes, the whole time you waiting, your brain is like, how much time I got left? How much time I got left? Because I got X, Y, and Z to go back and do. Let me know if that's true, right? That used to be my biggest issue. But if you are like that, then one of the best things you can do is listen to a guided meditation. Guided meditations are so dope because they tell you what you're supposed to be thinking and feeling and doing. If you're actually listening and following along, you can't think about all that other stuff. You are relaxing your eyebrows because you didn't even realize they were tense. You're relaxing your jaws because you didn't even realize you were clenching your teeth. You're lightly wiggling your toes. So for anyone who struggles, and you can find them all over, just search for it on the internet and search for however long time you have. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If you want to try 30 minutes, great. Do that. And especially before bed, they're really good to relax you. There's so many apps that can do the same thing, right? Something else that you can do, deep breathing. One of the best and most relaxing methods of deep breathing is what's considered to be the 4-7-8 method. So you inhale for 4 seconds, You hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then you take 8 seconds to exhale it. So inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. That will make you feel so good and relaxed. I will venture to say hi. So you can save some money on them pharmaceuticals. Actually focus. Probably not eat all the munchies. Y'all know I ain't lying. Stop playing with me. But you can do those things. What else you can do, because we're figuring out, how to get out of this cycle of constantly being in stress. I talked about moving your body. Take care of your body. Yes, I've been drinking water. I need you to drink some water. Type cheers if you just had your water. Water is so important. Your body is made of like the different percentages I see. But you're going to see at least 60, 65, if not 70% water. Every part of your body is made of water. Your brain, your lungs, your heart, your liver, your eyes, your skin, your teeth, your bones, your hair, everything is made of water. So you have to keep them hydrated so that they can work at their optimal level. But then you also have to be mindful of what you're eating. I'm not a fan of clean eating. What is that? I'm not a fan of restriction, but I am a fan of balance. Meaning, be mindful of how much of what you're putting in your body and how frequently. People say, well, how frequently should it be? How do I know? I like a 80-20, right? 80% of the time you're being very intentional. 20% of the time you're just allowing yourself to enjoy. How do you know what should be in the 80, what should be in the 20? If you only have that one thing for 3 days, that's it, that's all. How does your body feel? If you have energy, you are sleeping, all of those things, that should be in your 80. But if your stomach's turning, you feel lethargic, you feel grumpy, you can barely sleep, that should be in your 20. But don't stress yourself over, but be mindful of it. Because what we put in our bodies does impact our mood. It impacts all the things. When you eat those heavy, uh, saturated fat-filled foods and greasy foods and all that stuff, what do you feel? You feel lethargic, bloated, just ugh. That's how you feel. Ugh. When you feel that way, that messes with your mood too. Right? You're all clogged up because your body, it's not getting the proper nutrients to be able to work the way it's supposed to. So you don't feel great. However, when you eat foods that are on the other side of it, you're like, oh, okay. Your body's doing what it's supposed to do. It's digesting it like it's supposed to. You're getting the nutrients you're supposed to get. You have the energy, right? So those are some of the things that you should be mindful of, right? Oh, thank you so much. Say, Queen, I love you because of your empathy for others. You're correct. The best stress relief is to change your diet, social environment. Oh, come on. Look. We're going to get into that. And I see 64 ounces per day of water. Let's talk about this with water. 64 ounces or 8 cups used to be the standard. The new suggested standard is to drink half of your body weight in ounces per day. Because remember, I said our bodies are made up of at least 60, I would say 65% water, right? And if you are a 200-pound person or 250-pound person, that 64 ounces ain't gonna cut it. It's not. Your organs are too, your organs are too big for that. And that's all your organs. Your skin, everything is an organ, right? So when you have that, if you're 200 pounds, you should be drinking at least 100 ounces of water every day so your body can be optimally hydrated. All right. Now, what else you can do? A couple more things, and I'm going to let y'all go. And it was in the chat. Somebody put it in the chat. Being surrounded by people who support you, your friends, your family. That's one thing about social media that's actually cool is that you can make really good friends. that you've never met. Because sometimes we feel more comfortable being vulnerable with strangers. When we're around our friends and family and people who know us, who see us frequently, we're afraid to be vulnerable because even though we know they love us, we're still afraid that in some type of way they're judging us. They're going to look at us as weak. When they don't, because guess what? You don't look at them as weak when they come to you with their vulnerabilities. You feel honored and blessed that they were able to show their vulnerabilities to you. But it's really hard for you to do the same. Yes or yes? So that's why a lot of times people will venture out and meet people on social platforms that they develop friendships with. And I won't even use air quotes for that because there are so I've made really good friends with people that I haven't met yet. Some people it took me years to finally meet, but we were good friends. And I trusted them, meaning could trust them with my emotions. So wherever you need to go, or even a support group, whatever your chronic stress may be, maybe you need a support group for that. If you have health issues, there are all types of support groups for health issues, right? Find a support group. If you're struggling with your relationships, there are support groups for that. If you're struggling with finances, there are support groups for that. Support groups for that. If you're taking care of your parents, there's support groups for that. Whatever your stressor is, your chronic stressor is, there's a support group for it. Find that, right? Get the help and the support you need. But what it all goes back to with that is being okay with being vulnerable and allowing those around you to assist you. So many of us be the first ones to jump in front of the line and help somebody. I got it, I help you. I got it, I help you. And then if somebody try to help you, they're like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I got it. I got it. Because I should be able to do it myself. Why? 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 That is one of the main reasons why so many of us have chronic stress is because we're taking on so much that we feel like we're supposed to be able to handle. Hmm. Who needed to hear that word? Because something else you can do to manage this chronic stress is to set boundaries. It's more than okay to say no. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary to say no. You have to protect your peace. Whenever I hear people say, what's your favorite form of self-care? Saying no. Massages are great. Cupping is great. Pedicures are great. Sure. But saying no, baby, I love it. And it's not done with any type of malice. It took me a long time to acknowledge that saying no to others is saying yes to myself. And I have the right to say yes to myself. Because if I keep saying no to myself, I wouldn't even have the energy to say yes to anybody else. And these are people that I love love and care about, right? So I want to be able to say yes to them as much as I can. But we have to be honest about when it's time for us to say no. And it could be not right now, right? But either way, it's no. I can't. Or sometimes I just don't want to. I can't because I don't want to, right? It's time for me to put me in front. It's okay to be, I've said for a while that it's okay to be selfish. Selfish is not a bad word. But Coach P, Precious Bivens spoke at my intensive I had last month at the Breakthrough Intensive. And she said, no, it's not about being selfish. It's about being self-focused. No, excuse me, self-focused. Somebody type self-focused in the chat. That means that you're not excluding everybody else. You're just focused on you. And that's good. That is not a bad thing. You have to focus on you. So sometimes reducing that chronic stress just starts with you saying no. It really does. Say no to outside requests and saying yes to you. All right. And then lastly, because I mentioned, yes, no can be a positive. No is very positive. It's very, very, very positive, right? Because like I said, it's never said with malice. Never. It's just I just can't, right? And then the best medicine for life is truth, baby. I've always said, hurt me with a truth as opposed to pacifying me with a lie. Because everything comes out, right? Because when lies are found out, that's another type of stress, right? As opposed, that truth, as painful as it can be, when it's right there, it gives you the opportunity to address it and go through all these steps we talked about, right? So when people try to hide health issues and things like that, hide financial issues, it doesn't help. It doesn't help, right? And lastly, what I want y'all to do, if all of those things, you tried those things and they didn't work, or maybe you just need a little more, please seek professional help. I mentioned earlier that we all have some form of PTSD. We all have stresses and stressors. Nobody is just, unless you're a monk, everybody got stress. So if you need, and no, let me back up. Drink some water. Ain't no if. Y'all, everybody needs a therapist. Everybody, lottie dottie, everybody, as my drill sergeant used to say. You have a primary doctor, you have a dentist, a mechanic, you'll go to a physical therapist, right? If your knee is bothering you, if your shoulder's bothering you, you go to a physical therapist. They're specialists who've been trained to heal those things. Just like therapists, psychotherapists are trained to heal this muscle and this muscle. Get you a therapist. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm so happy my therapist will be back next week. I missed her. I usually go every 2 weeks. But she has some things she had to do, so it's been a few weeks, and I can't wait to see her. Like, hey, girl, hey. And people are like, that's you paying for a friend, y'all. Because sometimes, let me know if you know this too. Sometimes the chronic stresses are the people that you would want to lean on. You might call them for help or just a vent. And before you could even get a word out your mouth, they pick up like, girl, let me tell you what happened. You like, I called so I could say, girl, let me tell you what happened. And instead of you being able to get your stresses out, because we talked about the importance of community, right? Instead of you being able to get your stresses out, you carry yours. It's like you in the store, you in the store and you refuse to get a buggy. So you're trying to carry things, and now your kid came and put more stuff on top of it. So you are already being weighed down. Now you're weighed down with extra stuff. But a therapist, you don't have to worry about that. As soon as y'all log in or walk in the room, you get to say, girl, let me tell you. Sometimes I tell my therapist, I say, girl, buckle up. Buckle up. We about to have us a session. Look, I'm telling you. But get the help, y'all. It's okay. And I'm going to say this. 1, check to see if your insurance pays for it, if you have insurance. 2, a lot of people say that they don't go to therapy because they can't afford it. If you are experiencing these chronic stresses, you can't afford to not afford it. It's not a payment, it's an investment. Anything dealing with your health is an investment. It is not a payment. Let me know if you get that. Investments help you in the long run. The same way you'll invest in the stocks are not a short-term play to put some money in now and then boom, you're rich now. Sometimes it happens, right? That's not what it's for. When you're investing, it's for this long-term help. A payment is what you do when you go through the drive-through and get that burger. It was a short transaction and you ate it and it was gone in 10 minutes. That's a payment. You're not getting nothing out of that, right? But investments are what you should look for. And when it comes to your health, you should be willing to invest. And if you feel you can't afford it, I do encourage you to take a moment and think about what you're paying for, right? What you're spending on and what could possibly be removed so that you can invest. You invest in your health so that you don't pay with pain and illness and sickness, right? Yes, get out and walk. Eat from the ground and the trees. Right on. Yeah, so this is one of the longer ones today. I ain't mean to hold y'all this long, but it's just, it was just on my heart this morning. It's so funny because sometimes I plan these out weeks in advance. Like, oh yeah, we should talk about this. We should talk about that. But this morning it just hit me. It's like, yeah, folks are really struggling, and not just emotionally, because we can acknowledge when we're stressed out emotionally, right? But we had to address how that stress, that chronic stress, is killing you physically. It will take you down. Yes, it will. All right. So I'm going to let y'all go. Oh, last thing. If you look in the description, I'm having a info session next week for a retreat. So I do a retreat once a year. We go somewhere beautiful and tropical. Next year, we're going to Cancun. And the whole reason why I do them there, I used to do the retreats here in Chicago. No, Chicago's cool, but ain't nothing like being on the beach and being in some sun, right? And we're there for 5 days, 4 nights. And the whole goal is to de-stress. So that by the time you leave, you cut off everything that's going on every day and just get to focus on you. We work out, we do workshops, but then we just relax and laugh and have a good time the rest of the day, right? So if you know you need that decompress, right? You know you need to step away from all the things you're even interested in it, click the link and just come to the info session to see if it's for you. But I did want to invite y'all because when we leave there, it's just the way we float out of the retreats, because we've been able to address some of our issues and some of our stressors, because those are some of the workshops that we do during the retreat where we address what's holding us down, the things that are weighing us down, right? So when we leave, we feel lighter. So hopefully you can make it. If not, understand. But yeah, I just had to talk to y'all because just for us being who we are, and especially my Black women, all of us. But we carry a lot. We do a lot. We have a lot going on. So we need to take care of ourselves so that we have more time to do more things, right? Enjoy this thing called life. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If this was good for you, if you needed to hear any of this, type a 100 in the chat. Make sure you tag your people. Make sure you share it out. So especially if you've been concerned about somebody who's been stressed and they're not taking care of themselves, they're not stopping, they're not breathing, they're not relaxing, they're not drinking water, they're not moving their bodies, all of these things, and you're concerned about them, and you're worried about all of the other things that could be happening that we don't even see internally, like the high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. Make sure you share it out. All right. So you all have an amazing day. Have a fantabulous Friday. And hopefully you enjoy your weekend too, right? If you have to go outside, please be safe. Because what? I just want you healthy. I want you happy. I want you here. And I will see you next time. All right, y'all. Bye.